Hello everyone, this is MC Deck Discussions and I'm Abby Small, and today we have another deck discussion with Hulkling in Protection, and it is called Stupefy, and which goes along with the theme of the deck, which is to stun the villain repeatedly. Note that I gave myself a couple of restrictions here right off the bat. So in my build restrictions, I banned all cards that confuse, as well as allies who draw cards. So Stupefy means to stun, if I didn't mention that earlier. Right. As usual, I'll have my timestamps in the deck description, not the deck description, I'll have the timestamps in the video description. And in this particular case, this was a deck that I built for an episode of the Winning Hand podcast, in particular in order to build a deck that included Ready for a Fight. And so here we go. So I am going to talk a little bit about the strategy I wanted to employ. So it wasn't just the stunning. There were two elements that I really wanted to focus on. So I wanted to stun enemies routinely, whether it's the villain and sometimes the minions, and then also regularly gain tough status cards. In addition, of course, I wanted to be able to use Ready for a Fight, but I also wanted to take advantage of Impersonation to go safely to Alter Ego, and thereby use Hulkling's Alter Ego ability. So let's mention that real quickly. So his whole Alter Ego side and the hero side too. Let's start with the hero side. So he has the traits of Avenger, Decree, and Scroll. 1 thwart, 1 attack, 1 defense, hit points of 13, hand size of 5. That's the same hand size on both sides. So including Alter Ego, has the ability Chosen Shape on his hero side. Force response: after a Shapeshift upgrade enters play under your control, discard each other Shapeshift upgrade you control and ready Hulkling. Note that if you can only do one of those, it's okay to do that. So there are times, a lot of times, when I would actually just go ahead and attack, like on my first turn, I'd attack or thwart with just that one attack or thwart, and then when I played the Shapeshift upgrade, I would immediately ready him and get usually 2 more of what I wanted, or maybe even 3 more, depending upon what the goal was at the beginning of the game. Most of the time, thwarting. So I would be able to do 3 thwart right off the bat. So I wanted to mention that strategy right away because I figured I'm probably not likely to mention it later. And then for the Alter Ego side, he has the Decree and Scroll traits, recovery of 4, and hit points of 13, of course, and hand size of 5, I already mentioned. And then you cannot have more than 1 Shapeshift upgrade in play, and that's always true. And then Shape Changer ability. This is such an important ability for this deck. Search your deck and discard pile for a Shapeshift upgrade and add it to your hand. One of the reasons this is so important is because Hulkling can utilize Ready for a Fight anytime that he wants. Why is that? Well, if he gets ready for a fight, whether he's in Alter Ego side or on his hero side, it doesn't matter because, so let's take a look at Ready for a Fight real quickly. So it's a preparation with the physical requirement, right? Max 1 per player. So, and I might as well read the ability: interrupt when an enemy would scheme, discard Ready for a Fight, change the hero form, that enemy attacks you instead. But that physical resource requirement, hey, what if you don't have a physical resource in your hand or as one of the supports, right? I have Quinn Carrier, that's a resource generator, and we have Alien Physiology. What if one of those isn't in play? I don't really have a whole lot. Well, I have a fair number of physical resources. They were available most of the game, that's right. But it didn't matter. Why? Because when you're in Alter Ego form, you can always grab a Shapeshift upgrade. So you just grab, there are 2 of them that have physical resources. So you have, the pictures aren't here yet, so I won't bother. So with the Hulk shape, you have 2 physical resources available. And then also with Armored shape, you have 1 physical resource available. So even if, let's say you're in hero side, you played all of your cards, but except for Ready for a Fight, go down to Alter Ego side, just grab the appropriate shape that has a physical resource that you don't have in play. Boom, you can get Ready for a Fight into play. So it's guaranteed when you draw Ready for a Fight that you will be able to play it. So that's really cool about this deck because, hey, what if I didn't want to go to Alter Ego side yet? Well, I can anyway because Ready for a Fight just puts you back to hero side once it's the villain's turn. So you just always go to Alter Ego to be whenever you want to play this card. You can just always go there because it's always going to be safe to do so. All right, continuing on, let's go ahead and let's see, is that everything else? Let's see. Oh, some of the other things involved. I also wanted to be able to hit the villain in the face regularly. So throughout the game, so we have 9 attack events. So you'll see those when we go over the events, including his own 3 attack events, Shapeshifter, Strike. And all of those will then trigger whatever Shapeshifter upgrade is in play. And then I want to supplement that with the attacking and thwarting from the allies. So we have quite a few allies in the deck. And then want to take advantage of each one of those abilities that then is designed to complement Hulkling's other cards and abilities and to go with the theme of the deck. So you see that when we go through these. So let's go ahead and get to it. All right. So let's start with the allies. So we have Brother Voodoo in here, right? So after Brother Voodoo plays, you can search your top 5 cards of the deck for an event card. So we have 15 event cards, but that also goes along with, hey, when you play an event, you get to trigger one of your Shapeshift upgrades extra abilities. Iceman goes along with the theme of stunning, in this case, stunning minions. And then Iron Fist, again, stunning theme. You can use him to stun twice. Usually attacking the villain is really the main thing you want to do, because then you also get 3 attacks. So you can attack the villain 2 times, 3 points each. So that's 6 damage on top of being able to stun them twice. And I did purposely face villains that were at least part of the game had steady, other than the first one, right? Because I always go against Claw first. But the other 3 villains, which actually 2 of them were, what do you call them? Not here. Let's see, leaders. 2 of them were leaders, right? From the Civil War, not pack. What do you call that? Expansion. So 3 of them had the ability to have steady, including Magneto was the other one. And so I wanted to have that on purpose for at least part of the game. I didn't really want it the whole game when I was playing this deck, but I wanted it for part of the game so that there were times when I would have to do 2 stuns in order to stun the villain, or maybe use different strategies at that time, take advantage of the tough status cards. Maybe during the rest of the game when the villain doesn't have steady, villain or leader doesn't have steady, then I would focus on stunning them. And that is the way that it mostly worked out. Almost fully worked out that way. I don't think I once stunned a villain twice. That it's possible I did, but I don't really think I did. When they had steady. And then Machine Man. Machine Man is meant to take advantage of the fact that we can readily gain those upgrade cards. So first of all, he has, other than, if he has one of his shapeshift upgrades in play, then he still has 3 others that are available as double resources. So, and then we also have 2 other double resources in this card as well, in this deck as well, energy and strength. So that gives quite a few resources, including also we have Quinn Carrier, if we have Quinn Carrier in play, and Alien Physiology in play, so that's 2 more possible resources. So that means Machine Man can readily gain the extra thwarting or attack ability and be very powerful for just 2 cost and 3 hit points. 3 health. So that makes him a highly valuable card to get out. Very easy to get into play. Once again, hey, if you go over to Alter Ego and grab one of these doubles, you can get him into play, but he's just cheap anyway at a 2 cost. So very nice in this deck. And I think in my demo gameplay, I actually finished the game with him doing that in play, taking advantage of getting the extra attack or thwart. And then Mockingbird goes along with the stun theme to stun the villain. Patriot with the tough status theme, in this case getting a tough status on himself, which I found a lot of times I didn't really need that tough status for defending, though I took advantage of it when I did. I could actually just use it to give him extra activation so that he could attack or thwart extra times. And then Wiccan just comes in the deck. And then Yellow Jacket works with the theme of trying to get more the ready for a fight available when you want it to be, right? So only 11 upgrades, which is still quite a few. So I did have times when Yellow Jacket would whiff, quite a few times actually in these particular plays. But it did just give those extra chances of getting any upgrade, but in particular extra chances to get ready for a fight as well. And then for the event, again, we want plenty of events so that we can continue to trigger whatever shapeshift upgrade is in play, right? So Hulk shape, right? You play an event, exhaust a Hulk shape, deal 2 damage to an enemy. Okay? But what's really nice is when you can get a combination of that. So maybe you would play Face the Past, and it would already use up, or hard knocks or tackle, and it would already use up that. But the great thing is, if you can also then play Shapeshifter Strike, it readies that upgrade and lets you use that ability on your Shapeshift upgrade again. So immediately right after you play it. So those combinations happened pretty frequently. But speaking then of the specific cards, so Face the Past is really in here. It's the one card that draws cards in the entire deck, and at the same time lets you get a chance to isolate the minion, the Nemesis minion, to get rid of them without having the extra cards to worry about in play, the side scheme in play. And then for hard knocks and tackle, right? Hard knocks mostly. Well, actually, it's kind of funny. I think two of the villains, I would utilize this to defeat them on their first side, right? Because it's deal 4 damage to an enemy. If that enemy is defeated by this attack, give your hero a tough status card. So two of the villains that I faced, I was able to do that to the villain and get that tough status card. But most of the time, this was utilized on minions. And then tackle, giving us a chance to stun an enemy. That was for sure. I was going to be choosing to do that to the villain, so that, and then also get the 3 damage. I always got the 3 additional damage every single time by using a physical resource to play it. Player side scheme superpower training is meant to get alien physiology into play, since it can, that's our most valuable resource card, since it can act as a double resource generator when it's playing Hulklings cards. And then I already mentioned the 2 resources, energy, and 2 double resources, energy and strength. And then for our supports, I mentioned Quinn Carrier, but we also have Hidden Base, again, going with the theme of the tough status. So alter ego response, after you change to this form, then it would trigger this response, right? And you can exhaust Hidden Base and remove 1 of the 3. So 3 stronghold counters get put on it when you put it into play. So remove 1 of the 3, give your identity a tough status card. So you get very efficient. It only costs 2 to get into play. And so you can use this for a cost of 2. You could get 3 tough status cards throughout the game. And I found that there were a lot of games where I used all 3 of those. So it was very cool, especially because, like I said before, every single time you get ready for a fight, you're able to do that. And then 3 copies of Stun Gun that you could either utilize to stun a minion, 2, you could use 1 to stun a minion, so you could save it for 2 of those, or do 2 charge counters to stun the villain. I'm pretty sure I used it every time to stun the villain. Okay? So one of the great things is I was facing this deck. So I had a lot of fun with this deck. I liked the way it did steady damage throughout the game, and then near the end of the game, I would usually try to shift to the Hulk shape so I could do a lot of damage. Usually not a lot of burst damage, but just consistent damage to finish off the villain. And so I just found it a lot of fun to play because it was sometimes decks with protection. The games can last a bit, and certainly my standard game against Magneto did, but that was more a matter of just the way Magneto works. So sometimes Magneto is just going to be an endurance match. But when I played against Expert, like I defeated him just as easily and readily, I think, as any of the other ones. So it was very cool playing against them, and even adding that little extra challenge of making sure there was some steady involved. Right. So the villains that I did play against were, let's see, I have that down at the end. So let's see, we talked about the purpose of each ally, the events, upgrades, supports, player side scheme. Okay, so, and then if you want to see my expert, my house rule for expert Claw that makes him more difficult, then you can go ahead and read that. He is very consistently difficult. I do want to mention this, by the way. I find in my playtesting that I actually lose to Expert Claw more often than I lose to Expert Magneto. So I tend to play against Claw, Standard and Expert every time, and against Magneto, Standard and Expert. I always do Standard and Expert against all the villains. But I lose more often. So this is where my editing of my decks occurs the most, is usually against Expert Claw, because I lose to Expert Claw more often than I lose to Expert Magneto. I think partly because I've refined the deck by then, but the consistency of this house rule actually makes Expert Claw pretty challenging. You go up against 2 side schemes and a heavy duty minion right off the bat. And it's not always easy to get rid of all three of those. And then, so like I said, then going to the gameplay, the villains that I did play against were Captain Marvel in Standard and Expert, Magneto, and Spider-Woman, and of course as Claw, as I mentioned. Here and there, I did actually have a nice burst of damage to finish off a game, right? So my very last game against Expert Spider-Woman, I did do 20 points of damage to defeat her in the final turn. But I didn't do it all in one, I did that in the final turn, but she only had 12 hit points by that time. So I did have to deal with the whole steady thing with her. And I had to deal with that with each of the villains that had steady. I had to deal with them when they had steady, and so had to do other ways of kind of taking care of business while they were in. And it was very much about utilizing the tough status cards, but also we have quite a few allies in here. So when we needed to, we would use them to defend with. But we also just took a lot of hits to the face. Those 13 hit points that Hulkling has gives him a lot of survivability. You can let those go down for a bit and then switch over to is it the armored shape? Yeah, switch over to the armored shape for a while. And then with plenty of the events here in hand, as you're doing damage, with all those attack events, right? Like I said, we've got 9 attack events in here. So after you play an event, exhaust armored shape and heal 2 damage to Hulkling. So you could use that to quickly boost yourself up. Then when you go over to your alter ego side, most of the games, I would also have the Altman Residence in play, and you can exhaust Altman Residence, heal 2 damage from Teddy Altman, and shuffle one of your Hulkling cards back from your discard pile into your deck. And so most of the time, I didn't have to use Hulkling to heal himself. I did for sure use his recovery at times, but most of the time I didn't have to do that, which means, of course, you have more chances to attack or thwart with Hulkling as well. All right. In any case, I really had a lot of fun with this deck. I encourage people to try it or use it as inspiration for your own build. And hopefully you enjoyed this. And if you do, please like and subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. And then please comment if you wish to in the comment section. I love having conversations there with people. All right. Have a great one, everybody.